We were left at the
Wow.
roadside, and we got the footage of it being driven off by a recovery company.
With the banner.
With the banner still on. He's driven it to the other side of Liverpool with the banner still on, because the Overton window's shifting,
Yeah.
and Tommy's getting the benefits of that at the moment. And the more it shifts right, then I think Britain First will start to become more mainstream. Eventually, we will be the only kind of politics that's in sync with what the people are saying. When we got to the actual docks and we're driving around the actual conference area in the docks itself, very quickly the police walk over, pull us over, and then I think it's about half hour later after keeping us there, they said, we're going to be seizing the battle bus, etc., etc. Section 59 of the Police Reform Act 2002.
This is how I see it. There's a background deep state conspiracy almost against Britain First. Now, I don't care whether people agree with all your policies or not, all what you say or not. That doesn't matter, because if you're silenced, then I can be silenced and anyone else can be silenced, and that's the whole point.
And that people, when I'm arguing with leftists and they say you hate brown people or black people, you hate ethnic minorities and all this kind of stuff, I said, listen, the only people that I hate, that I truly hate, is people like you, the white politicians, the white journalists, the white leftists, people like Jeremy Corbyn and Keir Starmer and so on. They're the people I truly hate. We wouldn't have an immigration crisis. We wouldn't have a small boats crisis. We wouldn't have wokeism. We wouldn't have media lies. We wouldn't have corruption in politics. We wouldn't have people like Starmer and so on inflicting such damage on our country if we had a political class that was patriotic and loved their country.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the World of Momos podcast. And on today's episode of Reflections and Reactions, we have my friend Paul Golding with us. And we are going to talk with Paul about recently what has happened to the battle buses of Britain First, and why it happened, what happened, and what's the outcome so far. So hi there, Paul. How are you?
Yes, nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, so tell us, like, straight away, tell us what happened, because for me, I saw the battle buses and they were beautifully decorated with appropriately written what Starmer is, and everyone knows that. What happened?
Okay, so I'm sure everyone has seen what I've seen, and that's, football stadiums but breaking out in spontaneous acclaim saying Keir Starmer is a W word. And then we've seen it in so many other, we've seen it outside migrant hotel protests. We saw it at the Britain First March for Immigration in Manchester. We saw it at Tommy Robinson's rally in London. It's really
People are saying you're on stage.
Yeah. So it's on everyone's lips at the moment. Now, the W word is not something that we would usually use. However, you've got to have your feet on the ground at all times in politics. You've got to, roll with the people, so to speak. And this is what everyone's saying. Okay, so there's a tiny, tiny minority of people saying you shouldn't be saying that as a political party, but 99.9% of people, as you've probably seen with all the videos, everywhere we take it, it's just massive support, massive applause everywhere we go. And that one slogan, that one chant has captured the mood of a nation, because he's only been in power now for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I think on previous shows, I said that Labour's going to be our secret weapon. Labour are going to get in and they're going to wreck the country really quickly, and they're going to become hideously unpopular. And that's going to radicalise millions of people. Now, since Starmer's got in, what have we seen? We've seen mass spontaneous disturbances, riots, protests after the Southport attack. Never seen them before in all my 26 years in politics. Never seen white British people take to the streets with angry faces and just, expressing their frustration, expressing their anger. So, sometimes in a violent way. We saw a lot of that, but yourself, when you got a situation that's like a kettle boiling, when it's boiling, people, you've got to have some kind of release. And people are angry. People are angry about immigration. They're angry about Islamic extremism. They're angry about the way that some minorities in this country are treated compared to everyone else. There's also the political bias, that cuts across everything. Right-wingers, patriots, Christians are all treated badly we're on the back foot, we're demonised, we're persecuted. The other side, they can say what they want and do what they want,
Yeah.
whatever they want, and
They
they're
can call
never.
for people's death. Like their candidates, their elected members can call for people's death, as we saw,
Yeah,
right? And they still get away with it. Like, this is
yeah,
unfair.
yeah. But we engage in a fraction of that, and we're the state, with all of its might, comes down us like a ton of bricks. But this chant, this slogan, Keir Starmer is a W. Everyone's saying it. The football crowds are saying it in stadiums. I think I've seen videos of nightclubs all shouting Keir Starmer is a W. So and he's only been there a year and a half. We've got another 3.5 years of Keir Starmer.
Yeah, I think so. We are okay to say Keir Starmer is a wanker, because when we
Okay.
say Keir Starmer is a W, it means it kind of seems like we're saying he's for the win. No, he's not.
Yes.
He's a wanker.
Keir Starmer is a wanker.
Yeah,
So we
top
came
grade
up.
wanker.
We came up with the idea, let's get a huge banner and saying Keir Starmer is a wanker, and let's put it above motorway bridges, let's take it to Downing Street, Parliament, let's take it everywhere. Then we had the idea of putting it on our battle bus. The green one, affectionately known as Churchill, the white one's off the road, Lionheart's off the road with a blown up engine at the moment. So we put the Keir Starmer is a wanker banners on our green battle bus. First thing we did was take it to a little town outside of Manchester called Altrincham. The reason we took it there's a very strong local community campaign against the migrant hotel, the Cresta Court Hotel. And they invited us to come along. They said, take it to our town and, drive it around. So we did. The support was massive, even in a middle-class, quite liberal, affluent town like Altrincham, but the support was massive. And even people who didn't support it were just laughing, smiling. There was hardly any opposition, like real opposition, or cussing back and so on. There was nothing like that. It was just support or people laughing. So we're driving it around Altrincham, and then we take it to the Cresta Court Hotel, which is on the outskirts of town, where the protests are being held by the community group. And all of a sudden I see flashing lights, and it's been a while since we've been pulled over in a battle bus. It must be at least 6 months. So I saw the flashing lights. I thought, might be for us, might not be. But I did a sharp right and turned down a side road, and they followed us in there. So I thought, right, they're definitely pulling us over. So they pulled us over. They kept us waiting for 3 hours. They started off, you've probably seen the video, they started off, one of the dopey female police officers, saying that we were a proscribed terrorist group. And then obviously she done some checks, and she knows that these guys are actually a political party, not a terror group.
I have to actually, I have to interject over here, right? Because I have to tell people why they must think that, right? Because I have from very good sources that in Prevent training, they don't say like Britain First is proscribed, but once they're done saying like, oh, these are the proscribed whatever organizations, they have a section where they mention Britain First, like, oh, be careful of them. These are something that you should be aware of. That if you have a vulnerable adult or something, make sure that they're not supporting Britain First or whatever, some crap like that, right? So this is where they're picking it up from. So, even though the government has not proscribed it, because obviously that means electoral commission has to be proscribed as well, because they give you the right to stand in elections, right? But they associate with that so that people working in these organizations, police or whatever, those, especially those who are not smart enough, they sort of recognize these as the same as being proscribed.
Yeah.
Which is wrong.
Yeah. And of course, with modern day police, it's not like the old days, maybe the 90s, the 80s and so on. But the standard of being a police officer, the training, the fitness, the people skills, it's all gone out the window, and they just accept anyone now. And sometimes it is very embarrassing. So this young woman, and I mean, she must have only been like 22, 23 years old. And she's obviously done a lot of training. Because, I mean, they don't really do much training, I don't think, these days, these police officers, with my experience, in handling the public, dealing with situations, stuff like that. It's probably like diversity and DEI and equity and
sort of virtual trainings, right? Like just sitting in front of a computer and doing those trainings.
Yeah, so it's all like woke training these days, to try and make them like, glorified social workers out there in the streets. And she has obviously seen that, Britain First, be careful of these. they're far right extremist, nationalist, whatever they call them. And she has transmitted that by saying that we're a proscribed group. We're a proscribed. Now, the only right wing group I can think of that's prescribed is National Action. And they was
Yeah.
prescribed several years ago, but now for actual terrorism, for actually plotting to target members of parliament. So she's probably had some woke, lefty, liberal training, diversity training back at the station. And she's seen, oh, Britain First, you're a prescribed organisation. So that gives us a giggle and a laugh because it's so preposterous. And we told her, no, we're a political party. Go and check with the Electoral Commission. And then they kept us there for 3 hours. They run down the clock.
You guys were just in the van and they were just holding you over there.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah, they pulled us over. We don't make a habit of like opening the doors. We keep the doors locked. We've got security barriers, security grills on all of the windows of these battle buses to stop errant bricks or cans flying through the window. So it's all completely secure and sealed. So that'd be very difficult to get into from the outside. It will take a lot of effort. So we're inside, they're outside. They keep us there for 3 hours. And they keep moving the goalposts. First of all, we're a prescribed organisation. We need to make some checks. Then we don't like the word wanker on your banner. So it's a Section 5 Public Order Act. So I said, if you're going, look, I just kept saying to them, if we've done something wrong, arrest me.
Yeah.
You order me now, I'll get out and you can arrest me. No, we're not going to arrest you today, blah, blah, blah. I will say, if you're not going to arrest me, then I've done nothing wrong, then please let us go. No, you can't go. We need to do some checks. And what they was doing, because they didn't want us going back out there on high streets and so on, they run down the clock. So they said there's a specialist traffic unit that's coming from Manchester that's going to be here shortly. Well, that actually took 3 hours to get there. And when he got there, I asked him, where have you come from? And he said, Didsbury, which is actually South Manchester, here to where we were. But the point was to run down the clock to like 6 p.m. so that if we went back out on the high street, no one would be there. It'd be a waste of time. Plus, we'd be drained and knackered after waiting for 3 hours. Yeah. We all needed the toilet. So we'd head home. The likelihood is that we'd head home. So they just kept us there for as long as they could, just to run down the clock and make it
frustrating you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we wouldn't go back out there campaigning. So it just kind of wasted the day away. So in a bit, it kept jumping, prescribed organisation, Section 5 of the Public Order Act. And when I told them, look, if I've done anything wrong, Public Order Act, arrest me. When that failed, by the end of all of this, the traffic guy turned up. He checked the tyres, he checked the indicators, the window washers. Perfect. Everything's perfect. And we make sure it's perfect because we're not stupid. We know that we're going to get pulled over. And if it's, anything, if an indicator's not working, a bulb's out, they're going to stop us what we're doing. So we make sure that everything's perfect before we go out. So the traffic guy came 3 hours later, inspected the vehicle, said, yeah, it's fine, it's brilliant. In the end, we got a Section 59 of the Police Reform Act, which is a warning. You can either have a warning or a seizure. Now, this particular law was brought in because you probably go past, mainly at night sometimes, and you go past a car park and you see it's just filled up with these young boy racers. With the lights underneath their cars and spoilers and all that. And that sometimes they go racing, they act like idiots, they make themselves a nuisance. So this law was brought in basically to if they misbehaved, engaged in antisocial behaviour with their vehicles, the vehicles could be seized and then they would have to go and pick them up. So it's just kind of a little slap on the wrist punishment for these young boy racers. That's the reason this was brought in. It's never been used against a political party, never been used against a politician. But we got a Section 59 warning, which basically lasts for 12 months. And it basically says that if you engage in antisocial behaviour again within 12 months, we're going to seize the vehicle. We've got the power to seize the vehicle. So a few days later, they sent us off our way. We went home. We was knackered. You can imagine after 3 hours of crossing your legs and having to deal with these idiot police officers for 3 hours. After 2 hours of driving it around campaigning. So we went home. A few days later, we had the Labour Party conference at Liverpool, and we thought we can't pass up this chance of taking a battle bus which says Keir Starmer is a wanker to the Labour Party conference itself in Liverpool at the docks. So we went there and we put Benny Hill music on because we thought if the police harass us, the footage with the Benny Hill music playing is just going to make them look ridiculous. And it worked brilliantly. They just Even they were laughing and giggling, but they just looked so ridiculous and pathetic. But we're driving around, great response from the people of Liverpool. When we got to the actual docks and we're driving around the actual conference area in the docks itself, very quickly the police walk over, pull us over. And then I think it's about half hour later, after keeping us there, they said, we're going to be seizing the battle bus, etc., etc. Section 59 of the Police Reform Act 2002, a law passed by New Labour and Tony Blair. Now, it's interesting because when we actually looked at this Section 59 of the Police Reform Act, it says there very specifically that this can only be used if Section 60 is in force. So it was Section 60. So we went onto the legislation website and we looked at Section 59, and then we skipped to Section 60. Now, Section 60 says that basically the Home Secretary, who at the moment is that horrible woman Shabana Mahmood, the pro-Palestine Islamist Home Secretary, if her blessing, they call it regulations, that's legal talk for basically her decision, her blessing. So if Section 60 is in force, then Section 59, you could seize the vehicle. So the police, in my opinion, they had to send this, and this is probably another reason why they kept us for 3 hours in Altrincham, because they had to relay it to the Home Office and say, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
What do you want us to do? Like, we need your blessing. Section 60 says this is the Home Secretary has to make a decision for Section 59. So they seized the vehicle, which means the Home Secretary must have given her blessing as per the law. And people can go and Google this. They can go and read it themselves. Point 8, paragraph 8 of Section 59 says that Section 60 must be in force. Section 60 is all about the powers of the Home Secretary regarding this law. So it must have been kicked up to the Home Secretary. It must have been kicked to Shabana Mahmood. Britain First is here. We've got them. What do you want to do? The banner says Keir Starmer is a wanker. And Shabana Mahmood has said it's unacceptable. She has to class the behaviour as antisocial.
If she says she hasn't done it, that means the police has detained you guys legally, right?
Yeah.
So it's either of those two cases.
If we took it to court, the plain reading of the law, paragraph 8 of Section 59 says that all of these powers can only be used by the police if the Home Secretary gives a blessing. So this must have gone back to Shabana Mahmood, and she must have given her blessing, which then gave the police the confidence to seize our vehicle outside the Labour Party conference with Benny Hill music blaring. What a ridiculous situation. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job highlighting how ridiculous the situation is with that constellation of circumstances.
Have they given some definition of the antisocial behavior? Because political activism doesn't come under antisocial behavior as long as you're in the you're not going in private properties, you're not going on private grounds and stuff, you're not harassing people and stuff, any of those things. You're doing your political activism, so that's not really antisocial, and it's not outside of normal hours as well. You're not going at night and honking in front of people's homes and any of those things. So what is their definition of antisocial behavior then?
They said it's the word wanker.
The wanker,
being used in public. Yeah, being used in public. But I said, obviously,
we're so buttoned up, we can't use the word wanker in public, right? We can be a wanker, but
there's a lot of hypocrisy built into this situation, because the Public Order Act, which we were threatened with, which they didn't use in the end, is if I was on the street and I was calling you a wanker, then you could be caught. You could be. We could cause alarm, harassment, and distress of you personally, and then you could make a complaint, and that's Section 5 of the Public Order Act. Okay, but a political party calling the Prime Minister a wanker is in law an extremely grey area. And if there's not the law doesn't work in absentia. If there's a law that says you can't use that word, then you can't use that word. If there's no law stopping you using that word, then you're allowed to use that word. That's the way the law works.
Yeah.
But Shabana Mahmood deemed our behaviour antisocial, and because she deemed it antisocial, the police could then use Section 59 of the Police Reform Act 2002 to then say, this van is antisocial, we're going to seize it. So it was seized and we were left at the roadside, and we got the footage of it being driven off by a recovery company.
With the banner.
With the banner still on. And he's driven it to the other side of Liverpool with the banner still on. So it got a little bit.
So we would have gone all the way.
Yeah. A couple of days later, the procedure is very simple. You just send over your driving license and insurance and your logbook. Your logbook. You send it to Operation Tango of Merseyside Police. Within half an hour, they came back with an email saying the vehicle's been released. You can go and collect it. So the next morning, we went and collected it from Liverpool. No problems at all. As soon as we got it out the pan, we put the banners up, drove it back. And then a couple of days later, it was the Conservative Party conference in Manchester. So we thought, let's go and try our luck again, because we're not, if it's perfectly legal, and our solicitors are incredulous. They simply can't understand on what basis this has been seized. We keep getting harassed. Now, but the thing is, they must have realised that Section 59 with Shabana Mahmood's blessing was a bit embarrassing and a bit, legally a bit dodgy. Yeah. But they'd done it once. So then they moved on to a different law. So when we went to the Conservative Party conference, we're driving it around. Again, the response from the public is brilliant. We get pulled over again, surrounded by police. Manchester's full of police because of the Tory conference. And this time they keep us waiting for about 2 hours in the middle of Manchester. And this time they start asking about my insurance. So I said, look, just go and check. You've got all the resources. You've got all the systems. You don't need anything from me apart from my driving licence. Just crack on doing what you're doing. In the end, one of the police officers came up to me and he said, I've got an update for you. We have rang your insurance company and they're not happy with the usage of the vehicle.
What?
So you've rang my... On what basis have you rang my insurance company? Because all you've got to do, there's something like
Just check whether you have insurance or not. Like, why are they ringing the insurance company?
But they're not stupid. They ring the insurance company panics. Yeah. And then they cancel the insurance. Now, thankfully, the insurance wasn't cancelled right there and then. So what they've done was they actually seized the bus the second time in Manchester using the Road Traffic Act because they claimed there was problems with the insurance, so they seized it. And then it was up to us to then prove to them that we have sufficient insurance. Now, bear in mind that we've been pulled over with the same insurance for years. For years. I mean, you've probably seen all the videos.
In Liverpool, and previously in Liverpool as well, right? Was it the same battle bus?
Yeah, I think the same battle bus was pulled over in Liverpool. No, in Blackpool. About 6 months previous. Ashley was one of the activists was driving it, and they swooped on the battle bus there in Blackpool.
Did they check the insurance papers then?
Yeah, they let it go. They kept her for about an hour and then let it go. The amount of times I've been pulled with the same insurance and they check it and they let us go. But this time they impounded, they basically chanced their arm. They took a risk. They impounded the vehicle. Then it was up to us to prove to them that we've got sufficient and adequate insurance. Now, so a couple of days later, I went to Urmston Police Station, which is in just South Manchester, and I presented all the information: tax, MOT, insurance, driving license, logbook. I even had the original bill of sale that we got 4 years ago. Okay, I went over the top. I said, here's everything. They took it away, and the first thing they did was ring our insurance company. God knows what they said, but the insurance cancelled on the spot. Now, if you haven't got insurance, you can't drive it away from the pound.
Yeah.
So I said to him there and then, inside the police officer, what did you say to the insurance company? And he's huffed and said, I'm under no obligation to tell you what I've said, to disclose that. I said, you could have rang them up and told them that we were a terrorist organisation for all we know.
Or harassing people or using it to do this or whatever. Yeah.
But whatever they said on the phone caused the insurance company to cancel immediately right there and then. And when the guy came back out after another hour of waiting, he said, you've got no insurance now. We can't release the vehicle. So we had to just go away empty-handed. And that's the last thing that happened. Now, in the meantime, we said to them, how about we just get a recovery truck to come and pick it up and drop it off on private land? And they came back and said, no, that's not allowed. You still have to have insurance. I said, why do
You
I have
don't.
to why do I have to have insurance if it's being taken by a recovery company? Anyway, we're back and forward for days on end. I just put in the end, I put my foot down and I said, we are having it recovered by a third party and it's being driven back off road. There's nothing you can do.
Mm.
And our solicitor weighed in on the email exchange and said, to my knowledge, I believe that what Mr. Golding is saying is true as per the law. And then we got an email back saying, okay, yes. Now, what we need up front is the recovery company. We need their insurance and we need the driving license of the person they're sending to pick it up. Now, thankfully, we spoke to a recovery company that deals with police seizures all the time.
Mm.
So they said, we've got a direct line through to Operation Wolverine, which is what it is in Greater Manchester. It's Operation Tango in Liverpool, Operation Wolverine in Manchester. So they've sent the driving licence, the insurance details through to Operation Wolverine 2 days ago. Still haven't heard anything back.
Still haven't.
The battle bus is still in an impound in Manchester, gathering dust, and we've heard nothing back.
This is targeted. This is targeted harassment, basically, of a political party. Because nobody else is prepared to say anything. Nobody else is prepared to say anything on behalf of Britain First. So they know that they can do these things to you guys. They can frustrate the process, and they can use the law to the extent, to the letter, with you, which they won't do it for other people. When the pro-Pally people like are going around and saying whatnot, have the banners and whatnot, nobody is saying that's causing like distress, that's causing whatever antisocial behavior or anything of that sort. So, like saying Keir Starmer is a wanker on a banner, that is of no distress to anyone but Keir Starmer. So,
Well, now, I said before, didn't I, that there's hypocrisy built into all of this because, about 5 years ago, there was a coach, it was a minibus, it was a coach, big 50-seater coach that was touring the country as part of the Remain campaign to keep us in the EU. So it was touring the country with huge letters on the side saying bollocks to Brexit.
Exactly.
It was never pulled over. It was never harassed. It was never impounded. They never rang the insurance company up. It was just left alone. Now, as people are watching this right now, there is a minibus driving around the country operated by that horrible wretch, Bonnie Blue. And it's called the Bang Bus. And she stops in certain places, has sex with large number of men and drives off.
That's not distressing, is it?
That's perfectly fine. But God forbid you should insult the North Korean Supreme Leader, Keir Starmer. This is the kind of treatment that you will get, what we've been experiencing.
Yeah, and it like I was saying, because it's in the prevent training and stuff like that as well, where they are mentioning parties to be aware of and stuff, political parties, which in my opinion is already, I think so, it's an illegal thing to do. It's not the right thing to do, to be doing that. If you're going to prescribe Britain First, go ahead and do that, right? But you're not prescribing it, but you're sort of blacklisting it. So you're training all your local authorities, all your police officers, and whatever people, civil service, and so on, to activate basically against a political party, to have like it's sort of like a conspiracy, to have a conspiracy against a political party. When something of Britain First happens, frustrate them as much as possible, right? This is how I see it. You may or may not agree with it, anyone else out there, but this is how I see it, that there's a background deep state conspiracy almost against Britain First. Now, I don't care whether people agree with all your policies or not, all what you say or not. That doesn't matter. Because if you're silenced, then I can be silenced and anyone else can be silenced. And that's the whole point. We don't have a free society then. We don't have free elections then. Basically, what we have is state approved elections, like it happens in North Korea or China, and only one party wins. That's where Labour wants to go, anyways.
Yeah, we had several options when all of this was transpiring. We spoke to our solicitors over and over again. We had meetings with them on Zoom, and they said you've got two options here. You can go straight to the High Court for civil legal action straight away. It's called judicial review. It's going to cost you 50 grand.
That's
We
how
said,
that's how they do it, isn't it? That's how they keep it. Only the rich can win.
yeah, we haven't got 50 grand. So that's, this is where I think when they're sitting down calculating how do we deal with this with Britain First, Shabana Mahmood, they can just
Know
check
this.
our bank accounts and
They
they
know
just
this.
think
Yeah.
like these guys haven't got the legal firepower to fight back. So let's take liberties with them. We'll
Yeah.
get away with it because they believe me. If we had 100 grand sitting in our bank account, I would be straight in the High Court and say this is targeted political persecution. It's never been done to anyone else.
Mm.
They're jumping from law to law to law, and nothing's ironclad. Everything's kind of like overstretch. Everything's like twisting the letter of the law
Mm.
against a political party. And I don't think any judge in the land, even biased ones, would feel that they could tolerate this kind of government overreach with a
Yeah.
registered political party. But that's going to cost us tens of thousands of pounds, and we simply haven't got it.
Yeah.
So the other option we've got, which we are doing at the moment, and of course everything with the legal system and with lawyers and solicitors is very slow. So we'd like to have done this last week, but we're submitting a formal complaint to the Independent Organisation for Police Standards, the IOPC,
Mm.
basically asking them to investigate everything that's gone on, to see if they come back and say, yes, this was irregular, not procedural, something like that, then we can take that and maybe then go to the High Court with much better chances.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it's just like we want to be straight into court, have them right up against the wall in court straight away. But you can't. It doesn't. The legal system doesn't work like that, and it's frustrating. I'm sure our supporters, especially the ones watching this, would love to see us acting more aggressively, but we just can't. It's just the money isn't there, and the circumstances aren't there yet.
Yeah. And this is something a bit off topic, but I think so it's on topic anyways. It's something that we were talking about, you and I, on my show as well, before the elections, that it's 2024 doesn't matter, up to a point 2029 doesn't matter as well, right? So because the situation has to get much worse, and we are seeing that even in a year Keir Starmer has done more than we could expect him to do in 10 years,
Yeah,
which is
it's
amazing.
spectacular, isn't it?
He's a super wanker, so he's done so much that the people on the left and right, we can see them uniting, right? The sensible people, we're getting the sensible people coming together, and they sort of don't care right now about their politics as much, right? Obviously we have, like, die in the wool liberals, or on the other side, like the really actual far right people and stuff. They're never gonna change, right? But we don't have to. You said that before as well. Those are not the audiences. We don't have to convince those people. We have to actually target the sensible people.
It's funny you should mention that, actually, because there was an incident outside when we was at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool. Something quite strange happened, which I said to Ashley. I said, look at that. That shows you that Keir Starmer's hated by the right and the left. So we was outside the Labour Party conference, and there's a guy came past, and he came over and he said, that is a brilliant banner. He said, who are you? I said, Britain First. And he went, oh, I'm an anarchist. And he looked like an anarchist. He was scruffy. He had those boots on. He was a classic communist style anarchist. Do you know the type I'm talking about? And he gave me his number and he said, let me know what happens. But he said, I support Jeremy Corbyn, but this banner is absolutely spot on. And I remember saying to Ashley, I said, look at that. Even the left hate him. The left hate him. The right hate him. Everyone hates him.
Yeah, because people who actually value their freedom, because obviously people like the anarchists as well, they want freedom as well, right? To be able to be an anarchist, and fine, like you can be an anarchist, like you campaign on that basis, and if people are foolish enough to follow you, then what can we say? Like, that's the rule of democracy, right? But everyone needs to have their say fairly and equally, and not have a conspiracy, because I really do see that. I see that everywhere where you guys are, that there is a concentrated conspiracy going on against Britain First, right? And in so many, like I have heard, even if I have heard people of SDP saying that we agree with a lot of Britain First policies, right? But we see them like in conferences or somewhere, people don't want to engage with them because obviously there's a conspiracy of like thought around this, like, oh, that Britain First are like Nazis or something, like, which is obviously stupid. But
Due to media demonization. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And media can make like the most meekest of person into a Nazi, and the most Naziest of person into a saint, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we were back in, back in the 40s, the media would paint, they could easily turn Gandhi into a Nazi and a
Yeah,
terrorist quite easily,
yeah.
because they just tell lie after lie after lie, and they've got a huge audience. They've got a monopoly on the grip of power, which has been broken to a degree by social media, but not all the
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
People take everything with a pinch of salt these days when it comes from the media, especially about right-wing patriot people, whether it be Britain First or Tommy Robinson. But, you throw enough dirt and some of
Yeah.
it sticks, and
A
they're
lot of
just
it
constantly
sticks,
throwing.
to be honest, like a lot, because they still have the attention grabbed of the people, right? Because I was checking this, like in the last elections, okay, the turnout was low, but if you actually see the percentages of the people who voted, right, a lot of people actually voted for Labour, Lib Dem, and Greens. The majority voted for that, right? Around 15 or so million people, and that's a lot of people who are going out to vote, who are voting for these sort of things. So it's not a small number of people, and these people are watching mainstream media. They're keeping the mainstream media alive, and they don't have the capacity to look beyond that as well. They don't. Some people don't have the time, and most people don't have the mental capacity to actually critically think. So they'll just take in whatever comes first, and they still have that attention that they come first. Not many people in Britain are on Twitter. Not many people are on like they're on Facebook, and Facebook is still a bit weird. Like I don't go on Facebook that much because I can't understand what's going on over there anymore. So yeah, I mean, like the mainstream media still have that capture.
Yeah, they do. They're still extremely powerful, and they're the ones who give the labels to
Hmm.
anyone that's on the right of politics. They're the ones who determine more than anyone how the public perceive a party like Britain First. It's not, like you say, it's not through critical thinking.
Hmm.
It's not by anything we've done. We are given the image by the media, and it does stick to a degree. And to be honest, I see it with a lot of, I see it, I call them like centre right liberals. Um, you probably speak to a lot of them. I don't want to say any. I don't want to say
No,
any.
go ahead. I call a lot of them the same
I,
thing as well.
I don't want to say any names specifically, but my opinion is our side of the fence is full of these what I call centre right liberals who they parrot against Britain First what the media say about Britain First. They've always, we don't have anything to do with Britain First because they're extremist. Well, that's a left wing term. That's a left wing way of looking at things, or they're racist, or they're what I think the latest one's ethno nationalist.
Yeah,
We get called this by these centre right liberal
yeah.
types all the time, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
And these center right people were saying the same thing about Tommy Robinson not that long ago, right? And then
Yeah.
now they're having them on their podcast and
Now
whatnot,
they're
and now they're like,
interviewing him every
yeah,
single
because he
day.
like he's getting the views now, right? So to them, like I don't like center right people, whether they are my friends or who I talk to, I don't see them as serious people because they don't really have proper morals. Because if you do, then you would stand by them. If you have proper convictions, then you stand by them, no matter what people tell you or like what people blame you, what people label you. Right? But these people will only have courage when it's beneficial to them individually,
And when it's
themselves
safe, yeah.
only. Right?
Because the Overton window's shifting,
Yeah.
and it's Tommy's getting the benefits of that at the moment. And
Mm.
the more it shifts right, then I think Britain First will start to become more mainstream. I
Mm.
think Tommy's starting to become more mainstream now.
Mm.
But of course, there's a big difference between where Britain First stands and
Mm.
where Tommy stands. We would say we're more hardline on a lot of
Mm.
issues than Tommy.
Yeah.
Is a little bit more liberal on a lot of issues.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
he
probably
is.
the
Yeah.
best way of putting
Yeah.
it. But yeah, as that Overton window shifts, and the reason it's shifting is because the Tory government wrecked the country, and now Labour is spectacularly wrecking the country. And the more the country goes downhill, and I've said this to you on almost every show I've come on, I've said the same thing. As time goes on, the situation creates more and more of a backlash, which then mainstreams right wingers like Britain First and so on. Eventually, we will be the only kind of politics that's in sync with what the people are saying and feeling and thinking.
And what the situation is demanding. So this is what people don't understand as well. Like they can label people whatever. They can label people, oh, why you against immigrants and stuff like that. Oh, why you against this or whatever. The thing is, like, if you had not wrecked the country to that extent, if you had not gone against the British people, the native British people, to that extent, if you had not actively conspired to break down the cultural values and traditions of this country, right, then there wouldn't have been a need for all of this. We would be just going about our business, right?
Yeah, I
But
certainly would be. Yeah, I'd just be
yeah,
living an
exactly.
ordinary life.
Exactly. Like we are standing up to defend because there's something to defend, right? And there's someone attacking. Like we are not just defending ourselves with ourselves. We're not fighting with ourselves in the mirror. There is someone attacking, and they're the ones who are attacking. So the major breakdown is because of liberalism, in my point of view, is center right or center left. The liberal values and stuff, which is, yeah, to an extent I can understand classical liberal values and stuff. I agree with a lot of them as well, but the inability of them to deal with the extremists, especially on their own side, is why we are in this mess. Because you don't, the main problem is not like the people who are coming in, basically. Because if you have the main people are the main problem are the people who are enabling these people to come in, you
Absolutely, of
know
course. We wouldn't have an immigration crisis. We wouldn't have a small boats crisis. We wouldn't have wokeism. We wouldn't have media lies. We wouldn't have corruption in politics. We wouldn't have people like Starmer and so on inflicting such damage on our country if we had a political class that was patriotic and loved their country. Imagine if we had a parliament, 650 Winston Churchills.
mm,
The country would be, all the things that have happened to this country wouldn't have happened. And that people, when I'm arguing with leftists and they say you hate brown people or black people, you hate ethnic minorities and all this kind of stuff, I said, listen, the only people that I hate, that I truly hate, is people like you, the
mm,
white politicians, the white journalists, the white leftists, people like Jeremy Corbyn and Keir Starmer and so on. They're the people I truly hate.
mm,
I don't hate anyone else who's got a different background.
mm,
That's just ridiculous. So yes, the biggest problem in this country, like for the last 100 years, is the politicians. They're the ones to blame. They're the ones that have inflicted all the damage. They're the ones that have all the treason, all the betrayal. It's the politicians. Okay? If you open up the floodgates in a first world country that's advanced and rich, you're going to have poor people from the third world flooding into your country.
yeah,
But
they're
who
gonna take
opened the,
advantage, aren't they? Like if you
yeah,
allow them.
like you can't blame a dog for barking, but who opened the
Yeah,
floodgates? Who
yeah.
actually opened the gates of Britain to wave after wave of mass immigration in this country? The politicians. They're the people we hate. We don't hate anyone else.
Mm, mm. No, no, like that's a very good message as well to end our conversation on as well. So what are we doing next about the battle buses? You said have given them an ultimatum to get the bus back, right?
Yeah, we basically forced them to put it in writing, although there was you know yourself, they didn't really want to confirm
Mm,
that it was okay for us to get the battle bus recovered by a third party company. So we kept going, emailing them time and time again, and we forced them to commit to the fact under law we can get a third party recovery company to get it out of there. And we got that in writing. As soon as we had it in writing, we got a recovery company that deals with the police on a regular basis for police seizures. Like if your car's not taxed and the police find it and it's not been taxed for a month, they will call. It's called Operation Wolverine in Manchester, but they will call in a recovery truck and just take your vehicle away. So we got a recovery company that deals with those type of things all the time, because with Operation Wolverine, you have to send your insurance and your driving license and all that before they will release it. So luckily, we got a company that does this on a regular basis anyway. So they've sent their details to Operation Wolverine. That was 2 days ago. We are waiting. We can't do anything. We've got to wait for them to come back and say, your vehicle's been released, and then they'll go and pick it up. It's just a waiting game now, but we've pushed it as far as we possibly can within the law and without the ability to go to the High Court in London. There's nothing more we can do, but might be tomorrow, might be Monday. Hopefully we'll get an email back and they'll say, your vehicle's been released. Because when we did this in Liverpool, it's incredible. When we did this in Liverpool, within half an hour of the first email, they said, your vehicle's been released.
Yeah.
But this
So
time,
how do the rules change like all of a sudden? Will you have a lot of hard time getting insurance now on that battle bus now, you think?
Yeah, I do think so, because when you ring them up, you've got to be quite open about what the usage is for.
Yeah.
You know, like we've got modifications on those vehicles. We've got a built-in PA system. We've got a metal bar along the top so the banners can drop down. We've got the security grills, and I don't know what kind of systems they had behind the scenes, but this happened. This happened about 3 years ago, I think, because when we were standing in the Wakefield parliamentary by-election, we were standing a candidate and we was driving around the town non-stop in these battle buses. We were ambushed on the motorway, and it was seized then, and it was impounded. So we took them immediately to court, and we won in court, and they were forced to give us our battle bus back. I still remember the day going to pick it up, and I thought, be careful what you say, everyone, because this is going to be full of audio recording equipment and GPS and everything. So when we go back there now, when it does get recovered, we are going to have it swept by a professional that can go around with his little gadgets and make sure there's no recording devices and GPS and trackers and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, at the moment, it's just a waiting game. Hopefully we'll have an email tomorrow, maybe Monday, and I think they're just
frustrating you guys.
They're just being arseholes, I think.
Yeah.
The only way I can put it is to
Just
use
being wankers themselves, to be honest.
They're just being arseholes.
Oh.
They're just being really, really obstructive for no reason.
Well, I hope it gets resolved, but obviously I know that they will create more problems in the future anyways. I'm gonna put the link in the description below. If people want to become members, go ahead and become members. I can say I used to be a member, but since I've joined Advance UK, they ask you not to be a member of any other political party. That's why I had to drop out.
That's pretty standard, to be fair. That's a normal rule.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a member of Britain First, we would ask that you're not involved in other political parties, because it creates a conflict of interest. That's completely normal.
Yeah, that's pretty standard as well. But it doesn't stop me from donating every now and then, which I do. And I ask everyone else as well, look, donate to Britain First, even if you don't want to become a member, because if they have the money, then they can fight these legal fights. And these fights that they fight for their own are actually not just for themselves, but on the behalf of everyone else, because they are making sure that these things cannot be done to them, which means these things cannot be done to you and me as well. So it's very important. I would ask everyone, please go ahead and donate £5 or whatever every now and then. Just if 1 million people did that, let's just imagine it would give such an arsenal to Britain First to actually
every penny
fight.
counts, and it all adds up.
Exactly. Thank you, Paul, for coming on, and I hope we'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too.